Welcome. My name is Milana, and this is a podcast, meile, with love, Milana. What yoga has provided me with is the connection. Being able to connect with myself and the amazing yogis around the globe are the gifts of yoga path. This time I'm in New York, connecting with a yogini whom I once met in Kerala, India. I am grateful to our yoga teacher E-RYT that we could meet and practice together. Babette is a yoga therapist and Yoga Alliance registered advanced trained and experienced yoga teacher with over 5 years of full-time New York City teaching experience. She is also a NASM certified personal trainer. Her specialties are yoga nidra and sound meditation, sleep and stress management, restorative and yin yoga. She experiences yoga as an opportunity to have a truly intimate conversation with oneself, learning patience, dedication, non-judgement, detachment, and acceptance each time we meet the mat. She has a great passion for flowing through fun and challenging yoga poses in her Vinyasa classes, invigorating both body and mind. I thank you, Babette, for being here with me. Namaste.
I feel good. I'm happy to see you. And you got a really nice, good day in New York. We either have really hot days in the summer, humid, but there's like this beautiful breeze. You get like 4 of these a year, so you're lucky.
Yes, I am. I have been lucky the whole week, actually. It was amazing.
Yeah, you had good weather. Any rain?
And I could run. And I could... Actually, I was very surprised in California. You have more chill evenings and mornings than here in the summertime.
100%,
right?
yeah.
Because I always need my jacket, and when I'm back home, everybody would ask me, why would you in California wear the jacket all the time in the pictures? And I would tell it's like a Lithuanian summer. Like in the mornings we have chill, and then during the day it gets warmer and warmer. You know.
Evening it cools down. Yeah, here it just stays warm the whole night through. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, California is like an ocean climate, and we have a land climate here in New York. So the heat lingers longer. Yeah.
So what's so special about this place that you're here?
So I got here, September will make 15 years ago. But then I'll just jump to the question, what's so special about New York?
That you stayed here for 15 years.
I think it, we talked about this earlier, how like you can take anything to an extreme in New York. What I really like about the mindset here is that if you have a dream and you are willing to work really, really hard for it, you can make it happen. And sometimes elsewhere it's like, oh, those dreams are too big, or who are you to even dream that big? Why do you think it's going to happen for you? And here it's like, it's not going to come easy, but I like that possibility always feels like it's there for you. Also the people, I've met some really, really incredible humans here in New York. You can do almost anything in New York. You can get almost anything in New York.
You remember yesterday during the class you said, oh my God, I'm so excited, I'm going to this workshop. It's like one of the examples where you have an access to everything.
Yeah.
Like to the highest level of everything.
Yeah.
You need the scientists, you get the scientists.
Exactly.
Like,
you want to meet someone, you have an idol, at a certain point they will come here to do a talk, a concert, or whatever. It's...
Anything is possible.
Anything is possible. So, you know, center of, I might rub people the wrong way, but center of the universe in New York. Yeah.
Everybody agrees on that one. You can go to extremes, but at the same time, when we were speaking of how I feel in New York and where I am at in my life, in the midst of those travels, we were discussing that strangely, New York is grounding me, and I'm quieting down instead of spreading all over.
Yeah.
Because this could be an option, that's for sure.
Yeah.
but it's somehow, it's just I'm tuning into myself even more. Like the discernment thing came in the midst of that, you know, you can choose anything. There's, you know, if you want to buy shoes, you can choose from what? From a million shoes, right? In New York City.
Yeah.
Right? So is this some kind of you can lose your head here among the million shoes, or you can start applying discernment. And that kind of naturally, when we started speaking about it, it just came up, okay, this is about the discernment and really tuning in about within me, in my bones here, and feeling safe in the midst of everything, the metro situation, the busyness, the Central Park during the night, everything, you know?
I love that analogy. Yeah, I think New York can be certainly overwhelming to some people because of all the options. I remember when I first moved here, I went to this massive department store. It's like, it just takes 20 minutes to figure out what toothpaste and what shampoo you want because there's so many of everything. But as you said, like that discernment and so it can either go both ways. It can amplify that scatteredness and make you more scattered, or it can help you to kind of draw it all back in and kind of live from a quite anchored point, if that makes sense, where
it kind of simplify it.
Yes, it can actually help simplify things. Yeah.
Shall we check if everything is fine?
Nice to know that there's always options. Yeah.
So this is where we are. Okay, good. Good. Still working. Should be fine, right?
Yeah.
I am trying to feel through one moment. As I have been serving as a yoga teacher for 8 years in Lithuania, which is the capital city, 2.5 million people population of the country, not of the town. How do you feel? What's the difference to be serving on this path in New York and, for instance, in the Netherlands, or in Lithuania, or in London, or in any other, you know, location? How does that make us in a way different yoga teachers because of the environment that we serve?
Wow, that's a really good question. I think the first thing that kind of comes to me is like the energy and the nature that the city brings to people's lives. Like if I was teaching in like a smaller village in the Netherlands, what I think my offering would be different. New York brings a certain pace, a certain thing with it. You even mentioned that you took a class that's very cathartic and helped you release. New York is a very, high vibing, you know, let's call it what it is, can be extremely stressful place to be in. So I think people also seek that then in their practice, an ability to let that go, or they seek a continuing of that energy into their physical routine as well. But I think then also as yoga teachers, we then have this responsibility to also help people bring it down, especially in a city that's so constantly asking of us to be in that high brainwave, beta brainwave state. So it's that very ancient question that I think every teacher struggles with, like, you know, you give people what they want first, and then you give people what they need. So give them that high energy flow, let them do the handstands, and then let's tune also then into, okay, we've got it out of our system, but we also need to bring it back down so we can handle our very busy lives.
That's beautiful.
So I think
that's a good point.
That can definitely be very different depending on where you are in the world. Yeah.
That's actually very good to comment on for other yoga teachers. When I certify yoga teachers, I know how much to, and when I teach teachers, there's this always inner debate of what's the offering? Shall we do like how I feel it, what's needed to them, or what they want? And where is this combination? And for instance, in my life, I just now remembered that I met Shiva in New York. Shiva Ray.
For the first time?
For the first time. It was Yoga Journal Conference, Hilton Hotel. Is it 6th Avenue or somewhere around?
Yeah.
And that was Yoga Journal Conference, and I met Elena Brower, and then Shiva Ray, and Dharma Mitra, and all these wonderful teachers. This is how I started practicing with Shiva. And actually, why I'm mentioning that is that for me, as this so-called consumer of the yoga, that I didn't, as a student, it was the packaging that was needed to me to be delivered so that I would trust that everything is fine with yoga. Like I needed that packaging. This is why, in a way, I guess I found it in the United States instead of going, because Europeans would go study to India.
Yeah.
This is more common, more normal, let's put it that way, right? It's easier, it's cheaper. Then we we Europeans tend to appreciate the ancient lineages and so on, right? So you kind of want to study from the root source of the yoga and stuff. And to me, it was the opposite. I went to the West because it was so well packed. And yoga, in a way, I've chosen that, but yoga, in a way, I would call her, she would offer me something that I wanted at the beginning. And then, of course, she offered me what I needed.
Yeah.
So then it shifted. I went to India, and then it's just I'm here back and stuff, but it's deepening. But at the beginning, what I really needed, what I really wanted is the packaging, like so that I can trust this is normal.
Yeah.
Like there's no like woo thing or something.
Yeah.
And I guess there was something in my psyche that was just had to be normalized, and Americans are so wonderful at that, right? Because they normalize those teachings. Like it's simpler to hear, simpler to see than sitting in an ashram for the first time in your yoga practice, right?
Right.
In India, it's just easier to hit the yoga studio in New York. Yeah. And then it offered me what I needed.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned the word trust. I think that's what, at the end of the day, it's about. Like when you give someone what they want, they start to, I think, build a relationship of trust instead of if you throw something at someone that you think you might be like, okay, this might be what they might be needing the most. But in that moment, if they're not feeling that, then that can actually create a sense of distrust. So, yeah, I definitely, for my teachers, was instilled like...
We're still on? Are we still on? Yes, thank you.
Look cool. The setup look cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
What are y'all doing?
The podcast.
Oh, podcast?
Yeah.
I like that. I gotta get interviewed one day.
Anyway, so yeah, I think we were on the giving people what they want to work through, and then that can help with a sense of trust.
And I was also thinking that, living in a busy city and having in mind that okay, as for the physical practice and for the mental practice and spiritual practice, we want it all, right?
Right.
So kind of we need to push, and we need to run, and we need to stretch, and we need to do everything. And as time here is so, it must be efficient.
Yes.
Babette, right?
Yes.
You have no other chance, otherwise you're off the game, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be efficient. So to me, it kind of feels like the natural response or requirement of the client, of the student coming into the class, like do everything in 1 hour now. It's like, as if I would hit the gym, as if I would have a cardio, as if I would have a yoga nidra, meditation and everything, right?
Preferably in 58 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that you save 2 extra. It's like it's a win, right?
Yeah.
So it's this alchemy and optimization of the class with the respect of what the teachings of yoga in general is offering, right? Otherwise it becomes like, barre, Pilates, or anything else but not yoga.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that's definitely also, I think, a challenge of teaching in such a city environment. You know, ideally I would do 90-minute classes, but, you know, I'm lucky enough from time to time to do 75 minutes.
90 minutes, yes. She's my proof. because I started with, sorry to interrupt you, oh my God, this is a hot topic. 1.5 hours, even in Vilnius city, 1.5 hours, the time showed us that it's too long for the busy people.
Yeah.
So we reduced it to 75 minutes, and some of the classes were offered even in Vilnius, in such a small capital, for 60 minutes only.
Yeah.
So it's the time efficiency, because for 1.5 hours, you still, even in a small town called Vilnius, you have at least half an hour to come and to go, because it's packed, it's traffic, it's all that.
Yeah.
Which means it's an investment of 2.5 hours at least during the day. It's a lot.
Yeah.
2.5, 3 hours. So give me that 58-minute, please.
No, and even now, like 90-minute offerings are considered workshops or master classes, when it's like ideally a normal class would be 90 minutes. But yeah, so we have to condense it into an hour, and you know, we work with that. We work with that.
You know, I remember myself at some point kind of pushing this idea of how we have to extend the timing of a self-care and wellness, and actually I lost hope, but not in a bad way, but in a way that, yeah, life is busy and it's gonna be that way.
Yeah.
Like, if it's not busy, something went wrong, right, with the world. Like, it's supposed to be busy. So okay, it's like just let's do the best what we can to squeeze in those 60 minutes, but to really give and inject the maximum optimal
it's
amount
doable.
of,
It's doable. Yeah. But it can definitely take some tinkering and some experience and feeling the energy, the vibe of where you're teaching and the city and all of that, for sure.
What, yesterday we had
75 minutes.
It was cool. It was enough.
Yeah.
Even to me, it was enough. It was like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
I really did everything. I sweat. I was like, oh my God. I only sweat. That's the joke. Not the joke, but the joke reality is that the only country I sweat in yoga is the United States. Okay, Kerala can be the case, right? When we practice.
Yeah, you didn't
with Shiva.
like in India, like
Yeah. I mean, but that's the weather, okay? The weather and all that kind of thing. And Ayurvedic detox shit coming out, you know. But yeah, what was I supposed to? The thought.
Oh no, and the only time you feel like you.
Yeah, it's like I remember myself sweating in California with Mark Stephens, with my first 200 hours teacher. Like the sweat was dripping from the nose, and I'm a former dance teacher, a dancer. An athlete, so I know the sweat, but I never sweat. Like, my sweat is not so heavy. And in California, I'm sweating always. And now I was sweating in your class.
Oh, I'll take that as a compliment.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
My body cries.
In a good way.
In a very good way. In a very good way. And detoxic cleansing, and then this whole sound bath during the. That was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's lovely to be held as a teacher by another teacher. And my next question is about, how important it is for you to be held.
Yes.
And how do you do that?
Oh yeah, I'm not going to lie about that. I think when I became a full-time teacher, I, in a sense, almost lost some of my teachers.
And a self-practice?
Well, not my self-practice, but like...
I did lose at some point. Like, there was like ups and downs, but I did lose because of the service to others.
Yeah.
You know?
No, a big part is my self-practice, because that's what inspires is the design for my group classes.
Absolutely.
But because I got much more busier teaching, so if you're teaching like anywhere from 15 to 20, I was at a certain point of 23 classes a week.
23 classes a week, okay.
Not anymore, but I think I'm like 21. But there's some restorative yin and sound offerings, so it's not all vinyasa. But so when you're teaching that much, then it's like you either want to use. Usually those classes are at the same time. Your teachers, your classes, and then maybe you want to take an afternoon for yourself or a morning, or instead of a physical yoga practice, you enjoy a run or whatever. So in that sense, my practice with my teachers kind of diminished. They went different ways as well, like different left studios. So I'm actually in a point where I'm like I am looking and practicing with other teachers because I do think that it's so important for us to have someone to look up to be inspired by. So majority of my teachers are actually now online, like Shiva-Ray, of course. We can practice with her online, and Rodney Yee, he's in Sag Harbor. Brian Kess, like those are like from the old school days, the 90s. And then another form of movement that's been so important for me for 15 years. I've been working out with Tracy Anderson. I don't know if you know her. Yeah. So I think she's genius. I love how she helps you move through your joints and your body, and that's been very important for me in my physical practice. And I've been seeing it in the kind of fitness world, how it all kind of has been like one big melting pot now, like bar, Pilates, fusion, take from yoga, and then in yoga classes we see more like bar, Pilates inspired movement. I love playing with all of that fusion, but I also love like a solid hatha, classic.
Coming back to the real like simplified.
And I do that in my teachings too. Like from time to time, I surprise my students with like, today we're going to go just to the roots, hatha, long holds, and people.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful, and I love seeing that. Like people come to my classes for my creative designs, but then they're like, wow, I've never sweat that much in a long time, or that was so hard, when it quote unquote looks like, easy yoga when it's not. So I don't know if that answers your question, but long story short, I think it's important that
after sometimes you start missing those things, the basics, the real stuff.
But the teacher, like, that's never left for me. I think the moment I feel like I don't have a guide or someone in my life that I feel like I can learn from, then I need to pause, because I need someone to kind of be inspired by. And even though I feel very inspired by my students, but I think if you hone your own practice, your own teaching, then that's going to shine or like be felt in your offerings. So yeah. What about you? Do you have we share Shiva-Ray as a
I find it more and more important to like
big car over here.
Big car over there. Yeah, so now it's changing and shifting as I have closed down the studio because of so many hours of service, and that is called the burnout, right? This is called burnout, all right? So, and there was a period of in my teachings where I worked so many hours that I did not have almost any practice of mine, because my body would not be able to do any practice. Like if I would have my, couple of hours off, I would whether eat because I would be exhausted and I would need food, or I would sleep, or I would try to catch up, with some of the stuff. It's just too busy, too much in being in the body for work, and plus the dance studio, you know, so I would dance as well. And my body kind of, you know, would ask for asana for myself, but at the same time rejects it. Doesn't want to, because I was moving, you know, but moving like halfway always, you know, the right leg and then the left skip. And then you realize after so many years, oh my God, what's happening with my left side?
Yeah.
Always do both sides, teachers, because you've got consequences after that. After many years of teaching, it's a serious thing. A serious thing. So yeah, there were times when I really lost it, and now I move a couple of times a day, which is such a luxurious thing to do. And I think that now I'm not anymore obliged to go on during the weekdays to the studio to be on service. I feel like I am now really enjoying my personal practice, even in a different texture and taste and so on. It's like the body is inviting me.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah. We pack our plates too much. Like there has to be some energy left to pour into a physical practice, and even if it's just 3 postures. And when it comes
through you because of your practice, then it's like, you know, it's such a beautiful way to serve. You know that feeling when you feel like, okay, I've got it today. Like it's lovely. Like people are happy, and you've got the result that you wanted. You see that through people, but most of the times, what I at least realized is when it goes through my body first, and when the body is exhausted, and when there are so many hours of service, it becomes, you know, it just becomes the energy starts leaking.
Yeah.
And so the classes are not, at least in my case, they were not so optimal or not such high quality as I would love to. Of course, the requirement to myself as a teacher is high.
Yeah.
Because we want to serve the best. But what I'm saying is that always when there is space for my personal practice, my service is so much better than
oh yeah, 100%. 100%.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, when teaching balance, being balanced, something like that, right?
Yeah.
And teaching in New York.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yep. Yeah.
And remember us in Kerala when we met at Shiva's retreat, and the tiredness was like weeping from our bodies, right?
Yeah.
And we were most of them were yoga teachers, but being held by Shiva, right? It's like really coming for our own personal practice, not for like studying the knowledge as such, but
that's so true.
Really resting and being nurtured and being taken care of, and we were tired.
Yeah, it was also the setting and the Ayurveda and the massages were all very the massages. Every day. So
I think the last day I gave my one last time to someone else because I got tired from
the massage.
It's like, stop rubbing my like every day. And it was like a massage.
Oh no, I could have just stayed for another 2 weeks easily. Yeah.
And to me it was like, stop rubbing me. It's like every day.
I could. All that coconut oil is so good.
How safe do you feel living in New York?
We spoke about this, you asked me about New York and like what I like about it. So I feel extremely safe in New York because I feel this city allows me to be 101% who I am.
That's much.
And therefore, I feel like I can teach in a way that feels authentic to me. And that makes me feel safe.
And that's your safety.
Yes. And the beautiful thing about New York is there's something for everyone. So, you know, some people gravitate to some teachers and then to other teachers. You will find your tribe here. You will find, or your crew. You will connect to people that are drawn to your energy, your style. So I feel very free here and safe here to teach what feels authentic to me and what feels good for me and share and explain And I have created I think a crew of student friends that resonate with that. And I have teacher friends that have their crews that resonate with how they teach, and I like that a lot. So in that sense, that's how I feel very safe in New York.
Through freedom.
Through freedom of
Freedom
expression
of being yourself.
and
This is so beautiful. And I remembered my coaching session with a private client, and I was asked, she said, but I want safety so much, but I want freedom. It's like those are impossible. It's like I want in a relationship safety, but I want freedom. And then that means it's impossible. I was like, ho, 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 ho. Ho, ho, ho. It's like, those are the two that have to be connected.
They should be.
The freedom and safety is the same thing.
Yes.
It's another side of the coin. As long as you can be free to be yourself. To be yogini, right?
And I think honestly that's why so many people are drawn to New York, because so many people feel that it's safe to be themselves here.
Exactly.
And that's why also you have so many walks of life here and so many expressions, and you're here in June, so this is New York Pride. People are celebrating who they are, and
exactly, this is the week of Pride.
The whole month. The whole month. Yeah.
Wonderful.
So,
celebrating
safety, freedom. I like that. They're the two of the same things. Yeah.
Let's be safe and free.
Thank you.